Prosthetic legs can be such a minefield, especially if you don't use them yourself. So I thought whilst I do my face mask, I'd talk you through the different types of prosthetic legs I've worn myself. This is the Beauty of Jason ground rice and honey glow mask. I'm so excited to use this. Oh, it's cold. So I have been wearing prosthetic legs since around the age of 7. I think I was probably 7 when I got my first pair of prosthetic legs. And there are loads of different types depending where you're amputated, what you want them for, etc. The first type of prosthetic I got was actually, I don't know the proper name for them, but we all just call them stubbies. And these are basically the socket of a prosthetic leg with like a little grippy bit on the bottom. Now, these were great for me when I was first starting to weight bear on my legs after having them amputated. I don't use these anymore because if I'm not wanting the height, I literally just walk around on my residual limb, and I've always found this to be fine. But when I was first getting used to weight bearing again, these were brilliant. They meant I could walk around a little bit without the height or any of the added complications that the height was to bring. Then the first set of proper legs I got were actually blades. Now, a lot of people associate this with running, sports, etc. But these were great for me at the age of 7. And I actually wore these, I think, up until I was 16. Now, the first blades I got were your sort of normal curve shape that you imagine. These you can run with, you can walk with. They're great for being a child and being able to switch really quickly between all the different activities that I was doing. As technology advanced a little bit further, they actually introduced something called a Blade XT, I believe it was called. Now, with the blades I'd had up until the Blade XT, I would actually buy trainers and they would cut the fronts off of the trainers and stick them onto the prosthetic foot. That way I had grip on the floor and things like that. But yeah, that was the way they did it. So sometimes the glue would come undone and your shoe would fall off. And then obviously you'd have no grip or anything because it's literally just carbon fibre. And then the Blade XT actually had sort of a flat bit of carbon fibre added to the bottom, which added even more stability and that grip. So I no longer needed the shoes on them. And on all of these sets of legs, they would have a knee joint that didn't bend when you walked. So you walked out at the hip rather than forward. And then when you sat down, you could kind of release the lever. I was always so adamant that I'd have my blades forever. I loved them so much. However, as I got older, I started to explore different options. I had tried different legs before with a mechanical knee, but none of them really suited me. And then they started allowing microprocessor knees on the NHS. I've always gone through the NHS for my prosthetics. Being a double leg amputee, I don't wear prosthetic arms, but I need 2 sets of prosthetic legs, or 2 legs. It would be so expensive to go private, and the NHS is there to support us, so I do utilise that. So they allowed microprocessor knees on the NHS, and I was one of the first to trial them and essentially get a pair. Now with this, you were allowed so many different brands and you essentially got to choose. So I had a look through them all, and the ones I went for were C-legs. One of the things I liked about the C-legs was that when the battery dies on them, obviously you do have to charge a microprocessor knee. They didn't just collapse, so they actually just go stiff. So it was felt really safe from my perspective. Some of them also came with added sort of electronic elements, such as an ankle. I was advised that because I'm a double leg, it would just be adding way too many moving components, so to just stick with the knees. So between my GCSEs and my A-levels, so I would have been 16, yeah, just turned 16, I decided to get a new pair of prosthetic legs and essentially learn to walk again. This decision was obviously not taken lightly. It was hard to try and actually learn a completely different way of walking. With the MPKs, it means I can move my legs sort of normally rather than around, which is going to be much better for my hips in the long run. Yeah, I've been using my C-legs ever since I was 16. I'm now 22. I think I'm 22. I'm 22. And I absolutely still love them. And when I broke my leg, I was desperate to get them back. They are the best types of prosthetics for me and my lifestyle currently. If I was to want to do running or anything like that, I would definitely get a different pair alongside these. However, for my everyday life, C-legs work really well for me.